Speaking of the NFL, I think we should get stuck into the NFL. Week 2 preview. We did have the Thursday night football game today. That was between the New York Giants and the football team out of Washington. It ended up being a pretty good close match. Less defensively wise. I think what did it finish up? It was 29 to 27.
29-28. 29 as 1 point, I think. 29-28.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of blokes are thinking bet the unders here. Washington's defense, especially their front seven, quite renowned, and the Giants secondary, with the likes of Jabril Peppers and James Bradbury, Logan Ryan. A lot of people have been talking about them having one of the better secondaries getting around, and that actually ended up turning out to be a bit of a shootout and a really entertaining Thursday night football game. When I looked at this on the draw, I kind of thought, take it or leave it. And I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. I feel for Giants fans. This was a very New York Giants way to lose a football game. They jumped off sides in the game-winning field goal attempt from Dustin Hopkins. He pushed it wide right, but because of the offside, re-kick, it started quite right again, the re-kick, but it just went through, and the football team get the home win, a massive win there. The Giants had actually won their last 4 matchups against the football team. Daniel Jones had never lost to him, so there's one for you. He was looking like Lamar Jackson out there. You see him. They had a few quarterback design runs out there. He had a touchdown. He should have had 2. One went back on a dubious holding call. Yeah. And what did we make of Taylor Heinicke, I should say, in his first start for the football team?
Well, he must have watched Derek Carr last week, because it didn't matter if Scary Terry was double teamed or triple teamed. He was just throwing the ball up to him. He's just like, I'll put it in that vicinity and hopefully he'll come down with it. Because I think he had 19 targets for 11 catches in this game, something ridiculous.
Yeah, over 100 yards and a touchdown. You had him in your top 10 receivers, I believe, of last year. I thought, he was an honourable mention, but not in my top 10. I think this year he definitely has to come into my top 10, and you can tell he's obviously the wide receiver one by a long way there at Washington. But this was a big result because this division is notoriously close. It's notoriously bad. So big implications out of that game today. But for me, didn't have a horse either way. Was just happy to see a really entertaining game of football.
Yeah, Monks, you might need to fact check this for me, but I think the Giants have started 0-2 the last 4 years in a row as well. So bit of Carlton vibes there. But it was also interesting. Giants should have won this game. One, they had that holding penalty of Danny Dimes to bring it back. Then I think he had Slay open with about no one within 20 yards of him.
Yes.
Just overthrew him, I reckon. I think Slay was done by that. He should have caught it. It was just out of his reach. It was close. But
well, I was having this argument in another fantasy league, boys. I'm two timing it this year. The first time I've done 2 fantasy leagues. I don't think this is overthrown, because if you get 2 hands to it as a receiver and there was no one in his postcode, you gotta catch that ball. You gotta catch that ball. Agreed as well. You can go back and say, look, there's no one there, so he doesn't have to put it out in front like that. But for mine,
it was on the fingertips. He fully extended arms. Like, I think it was more on Danny. He could have pulled that one in and gone, this is a gimme, and just lobbed it up to him because they were going to score that.
No such thing as a gimme in my golf game. I'm putting this one on the receiver. Or my football game, I probably would have dropped it too back in the day. But that was the position that I played.
Anything in the end zone for you was drop city. So,
well, this actually wasn't in the end zone. This was about 10 yards short of the end zone. And on top of that, if we are comparing to myself, this would have been 20 yards overthrown me because I wouldn't have had the speed to be there.
Yes. Anyway, let's get stuck into some other games. There's a few divisional battles coming up, and we start with the Patriots taking on the Jets first off. What did we think of Mac Jones taking on the Finns last week?
Pretty good there in the Bama Bowl against his old teammate Tua Tagovailoa. Really close game, really quite interesting game.
I definitely like that and like what Mac Jones was doing for them.
Yeah, you've got him as rookie of the year, don't you?
I think he definitely could be. His probably main competition might be Zach Wilson, who then played for the Jets as well on the other side. Because I'm not sure the running backs. I don't think we'll get enough carries, and maybe one of the wide receivers, like say Jamal Chase, after his big weekend, potentially is on track. But I think with the quarterbacks and those two getting starts, they could definitely put up some really good numbers. And Zach Wilson wasn't too bad in that loss to the Panthers there. He had Corey Davis had a big day.
Yeah, I was very thrilled to have him on a fantasy bench. I'm happy that I picked him up because I was thinking a lot of guys are sleeping on this guy, Corey Davis. He's tall, he's built. He's obviously going to be their wide receiver one, and it seems like him and Zach Wilson are connecting pretty early on. In terms of this game, though, he's going to get Steph Gilmore, so I don't know if that will be a favourable matchup here. And again, look, the Jets weren't bad last week against the Panthers, but they're still the Jets. I think the Patriots win this one.
Yeah, I'm going Patriots here too. And Mac Jones, it looks like he's already got a bit of chemistry with Smith and Henry as his tight ends. So they're looking like they're playing that Patriots offense of yesteryear, I think 2011, 2012 kind of design there. So
the Gronk and the Murderer days.
Yes. So I've picked Patriots in this one. Thanks. Tips and odds.
Yeah, I picked Patriots. I'm just bringing up the odds now. So you're right. The last time the Giants had a win in the first two games was back in 2016.
Yeah. Well done, Sean. That's five years in a row of 0-2.
Yeah. So Patriots are favourites leading into the match. They're $1.38 at the moment. New York Jets are out at $3.05, and we have a line of 6 or 5 rather.
Bit too short, I reckon. $1.38 away at the Jets. I don't know if I'd be punting on that.
Before we get in the next, Monks, is it a little bit warm over there?
It is a little bit warm. And I'm on to my second beer.
You're very red there, my little man.
Getting a bit of that flush.
I am. It's a small study. It's really warm.
He's finally grown into his mustache.
You don't get it like you get it.
I can't talk. Well, I'm all orange today, so there you go.
I can't talk either. My skin might not change, but the dribble definitely does. So, we're all cut from the same cloth. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Let's see if I can change up the lighting.
That looked much better. Dim the lights.
All right, let's go with that.
Just
the lighting.
That's all it is. That's the old stripper technique. Just turn the lights off a little bit. And, you probably added 2 points to
chuck on some of
that
mood lighting.
There you go.
Anyway, let's talk about some Broncos and Jags. My Bronx did beat the Giants last week, and after the way Giants played today, I was very it was an impressive win, and then I think even more impressive. But they do take on the lowly Jags, who were beat bad by Houston. What was it, 38-3, I think the score in that game or something?
They scored a few late. So I think it was 37-21. But it was over early. This one, obviously, probably the big story was Trevor Lawrence's first start, the number 1 draft pick, football Jesus, and also his first regular season loss ever. So didn't lose in the regular season in college or high school. But yeah, he's going to have his work cut out for him. It wasn't so much him as that Jaguars defense. They were bad. They were really bad. Tyrod had a game. I don't know how to make of that. If Tyrod is that good, or if it was just a function of the Jags defense being really bad. And an interesting thing here was James Robinson, who was the pickup, the free agent of the year last year, made the NFL top 100. He was number 100. He barely got the rock in this one. It was all Carlos Hyde. Don't know how much to make of it. Sean, you obviously would have watched a bit of Denver. You said you're pretty confident with them. You'd think they take business pretty well here against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I do. I just want to go back to your point on Carlos Hyde. I think the reason Carlos Hyde's getting the rock a bit more, or getting on the field for snaps, is just because of the style of play that Trevor Lawrence plays. James Robinson's a between the tackle, pound the rock under center, whereas Trevor Lawrence has more spread the ball out and pass to the running back. Carlos Hyde is the better receiving back for the two. So potentially that's why he could be sneaky good pickup for fantasy fans, because one, the Jags are going to be behind a lot and need to pass a lot. And they're going to need the receiving back in that backfield, which is Carlos Hyde, which is the reason why they drafted Etienne in the draft for their first round, because they needed a receiving back to put in their backfield.
Yeah, and very sadly, not available through to that season-ending injury, and we've seen a lot of running backs go down already,
especially Achilles, and especially if you're in the Ravens team. Broncos for me on this one.
The Ravens curse. We'll get to them in a second. Broncos here. I'd love to know the odds there, Monks, if you wouldn't mind, and your tip.
Yep. I've gone Broncos as well. They are favourites at $1.35 at the moment. The Jags are out at $3.20, and again we've got a line of 5.
So very similar odds to that Patriots Jets game. I'm more confident in the Broncos than the Patriots.
Yeah, I think there's a bit juicy, some of those numbers you got there, James, especially Lawrence threw 3 picks in the last game. I think Broncos D is a lot better than what the Houston's D currently is. So, especially Von Miller back 2 sacks last week. Hasn't left, baby.
Yeah.
Welcome to the NFL, Trev.
That's it. Broncos plus 14 is $3.06. Minus that?
Minus 14, yeah.
That was plus 14. So 1 to 13 is $2.43.
Oh, we're there. Okay.
Yeah.
So next game, Bills taking on the Dolphins. Bills did have a bit of a shock loss to the Steelers last week, which was Monkey's pick.
Monks, you got this. I was listening back, and you didn't really have any sound reasons for the tip, but look, Steelers with Big Ben is different to with Mason Rudolph, and I think a lot of people had kind of underestimated that, and also that they went 11-0 last year before the wheels came off. Yeah. I think a lot of people
they start hot, so they've started. Big Ben's healthy and not worn out, they start hot.
Yeah. Again, I think this was one of the ones last week where, like, the odds were on Buffalo, but the fans were heavy on the Steelers, and that seemed to be the way it went, really.
Big time.
Yeah.
I should listen to you and fucking put $50 on the Steelers. I was confident with the Bills going to the AFC Championship game last year and Josh Allen having a career year. You can't write off Pittsburgh. That AFC North, we were talking about a different game, but the Steelers were very good. The Dolphins just getting over the Patriots. AFC East divisional matchup here. It is in Miami. I've got the Bills to bounce back here. I think they go down and get the win there. Less confident after what we saw last week. A lot of people had the Bills right up there again this year. It is only one game, but I think the Bills just here.
I'm going Bills as well. Potentially, I think they might do a little bit better than you think, Peppy. But as last week kind of showed, the NFL's very much worked out how to have high-scoring, close games and to produce a really entertaining product. So I think, again, points probably in this one, but close, and I've gone Bills. Tips and odds, Max?
Yeah, I've gone Bills as well. They are favourites at $1.52. The Dolphins are out at $2.55 at the moment, and we've got a line of 3. Total match points of 47.
The bookies reckon pretty close score. Pretty close one.
Yeah.
I would have thought the Bills might have been a bit shorter than that. That's very interesting.
Then we roll into the next game of the 49ers taking on the Eagles, and the Eagles are probably the talk of the town at the moment after a red-hot start to the season, and the only team in their division to have won a game so far, besides the one today with the two playing each other. The 49ers, on the other hand, did start off well as well. They did, but they were playing the Lions, and they did take a massive lead, but almost bottled it in the process. But of course, both teams coming off a win. Eagles looked awesome against the Falcons, who have no defense. So make of that what you will. But this game will be interesting. But I think the big note here is we've got to shout out the big Australian for getting paid at left tackle, Big Jordan. I think he gets, what were the numbers? 60 a year, 80 guaranteed or something. No, 60 guaranteed, 80 potential.
Guaranteed. Yeah, over 4 years.
Yeah.
So he's locked in for 15 million US, and then there could be up to 80 with incentives. So I put it to you in the group chat this week. I was thinking, geez, that's got to be one of the highest paid Australian athletes ever. It's hard to find a comprehensive list. We had been doing our research, and it is kind of also difficult between bonuses and endorsements. We've got him third. We've got him third in terms of Aussie athletes on the earners list, behind Danny Rick, who we spoke about, or we will speak about later in the show. A lot of his is incentive based, and Ben Simmons in the NBA. I think Jordan Mailata is the third highest paid Aussie athlete given this new deal, and what a risk for him to give up on a promising rugby league career. People were saying that he might be too big to play league. They didn't think maybe that he had the cardio. Yeah, well, that's right. Who'd be the heaviest player in the NRL these days? Maybe Junior Paulo. He'd be about 120 kgs.
Yeah, but he's not 6'8", so.
That is true. But my lighter is 380 pounds. That's 157 kilos for our Aussie listeners. So 30 kilos heavier and then some than the heaviest bloke in the NRL. Moral of the story is it fucking paid off because he now earns, what were we saying? Two salary caps for an NRL side.
Yeah, he gets the same amount of money as two NRL teams in one season.
Unbelievable.
And he's been playing the sport 3 years, so he's which is bananas. It just shows he is a big man with athletic talent, and he had the footwork. He definitely translated what they had from rugby league and has gone over there and shown that he can apply it. Plus, he's a enormous man, and he's got the strength. Some of the highlights of his work from the game against the Falcons, he was absolutely lighting up some of the defensive players, showing the boys how it's done. But yeah, they've really credited him as the future of the left tackle there for the Eagles, and he'll have to protect Hurts for the rest of the season.
Yes, shout out to Big Jordan. He's making 2 NRL salary caps, or as you like to say at the Sydney Roosters, 2 bloke salary.
Yes. Depending on what books you're looking at. And it's also interesting, we had those 3, and they're very much clear of anyone else we could think of. They probably got 10 mil on whoever's in 4th place. We did think about the guys over in NASCAR, Will Power at Indy. Some of the guys are playing soccer, the boys and girls playing tennis, but they're winning some more.
Hardy would have to be right up there. But her career earnings were about 24 mil, I think. So
I think it was total, but yeah, but still but in a calendar year, these guys are still earning, that equivalent. And any of the local codes, they're very much a distant dollar figure to what these boys are pulling in.
And you know what we didn't consider in this? The Aussie punters. The Aussie punters in the NFL are probably all in the top 10. Yeah, but that can be something for future discussion. But anyways, the take-home message was, well done, Jordan, in 3 years, going from playing junior football for South Sydney to being one of the highest paid Aussie athletes of all time, and this Philadelphia Eagles side getting a convincing win last week. In terms of game, you got something?
Yeah, just a quick.
Sure.
quick search. So the Seahawks punter, Michael Dixon, he did sign a 4-year, $16 million deal or 21 mil Australian. I think that was either the end of last year or the start of this season. So what does that work out? Quick math. It's 3 million.
4 years a
4 mil a
year
season.
yeah.
Yeah, so
That's right.
he probably be up there as in the, in that top 10. So yeah, which is funny.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Got a left tackle and then a bunch of punters. So yeah, for those AFL boys, if you kick far, punting pays well.
That's it.
And outside of that, the more generic message is just keep punting, boys. Just keep punting. You'll get that bag one day.
That's it. I'm just having a look at Ash Barty now. So this is 2020, but Forbes ranked her as the third highest paid female athlete in the world, off the back of the earnings of 13 mil and 10 mil in prize money.
So yeah, you probably put her in fourth in our current list.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I suppose I guess with tennis it'd be one of those ones where it depends on how many Grand Slams you're winning while you're on tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and famously went out very quickly in the recent US Open as well.
Which we'll talk about in a sec. Another thing we haven't considered is the golfers in Cam Smith and Mark Leishman. But let's talk about this football game, and maybe down the track we can work out this list of Aussie athletes and their earnings. Both teams coming off wins. The Eagles hard to gauge against a pretty ordinary Falcons team, but then on the flip side, the 49ers nearly bottled this game against a pretty ordinary Detroit Lions team. What do we see happening here, boys? This one is a bit hard for me. It's at Philadelphia.
I don't want to pick the Eagles, but I'm going to pick the Eagles.
Okay. I like it. I like that. I do like that. I've gone the other way. I think the 49ers sort of got complacent last week. They had a massive lead and gave up a few points in garbage time, essentially. I still think they're not a bad side. Flip of a coin, but I've gone the Niners.
Dunks, tips, and odds.
Yep. I have also got a 49ers. No real confidence with that one either. The odds are, so they're favourites, $1.60 at the moment. Eagles are out at $2.34. And we've got a line of 3.
That is too short for mine. I won't be punting on that. In the city of brotherly love there, hostile crowd, hostile fans. I think, they should be favourites, but it's no sure thing there.
No. I suppose, 49ers, I guess what hurt them last year was the injuries, and they haven't had too many so far. Well, more sets out.
Yeah,
probably the biggest one there.
The big one.
For the year, it seems.
Yeah.
Thornton, I picked up that Eli Mitchell, his backup. All talks were that Trey Sermon, the rookie running back, was going to be the number 2 there. We didn't really see him, and we've seen this Eli Mitchell. So I'm hoping, as a fantasy owner, that he continues in a Shanahan offense. Who knows? The running backs seem to get treated like playing cards, essentially. But yeah, a very interesting game here.
Yeah. Before we get to the next one, Manly have scored 2 back-to-back tries, 36-6. That game is done.
Done. Manly going through to a preliminary final.
Still 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, I like to heap shit on them, especially as a Dragons fan, salary cap, sombrero kind of chat. But a team to have lost as many blokes this year to injury and forced retirement. Shout out to them for going as far as they did. And also I'm happy to see Manly go through. Just as a Turbo fan, not a fan of the club by any means, but interesting to see what Turbo might be able to do next week in a prelim.
So back to the NFL. The next game we have is Rams taking on the Colts. Rams were good in Sunday Night Football as expected. With crowds at SoFi Stadium is unreal. That is an excellent football ground too, by the way.
I think they spent $6 billion on it, or $8 billion or something. It's not like there's a homeless problem in Los Angeles or anything. I love it. That went into the football stadium.
Pretty much. The Colts, on the flip side, went down to the Seahawks. Wentz did play in that. The interesting news for the Colts is Hard Knocks is going to do an in-season show, and they're following the Colts around. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that goes. It'll be a fly on the wall within the season. Yeah, first time they've done that.
So is the Cowboys one going to be done, and then they're going to jump over to the Colts? Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's the plan.
Did you guys watch the Cowboys? I know it's a different game, but we're on the subject. Man, the cut day. Oh, I'm no Homer Simpson here. I couldn't be cutting people like that. They get you just so invested, and oh man, just the cuts. It was hard watching for me. But then you've got the practice squad. They still get paid handsomely, I guess, compared to a regular person to be on the practice squad. But yeah, pretty hard to watch, and another insight into how cutthroat the business is.
Yeah, well, they get paid more than first graders. So most of the first graders in the NRL. So
true. Yeah.
What do you think of this?
250. I looked it up. It's about 250 Australian to be on a practice squad.
Well, I think veterans get more. I think it's 300K minimum for veterans on the
Australian on a practice.
No, the US dollars. Doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about semantics. Yeah. Let's talk about this game. And I think the Rams are better than the Colts are at the moment. Colts, I think, just need to find their offensive identity with Wentz over there at the moment. Whereas Rams, Stafford just walked straight in that building and they just look good.
How about his first throw ever as a Ram was that big play action and just went deep, put it on a dime. And I think his passer rating was perfect for the game. So an absolutely stunning debut for Matt Stafford there. I agree, Sean. I think the Rams are the better side here. I think the Colts are maybe a bit better than the Bears, and it is in their house. But I've got the Rams.
Max?
Yep. Yeah, I've gone Rams as well. They just finding the odds here. They are favourites, $1.52. The Colts are out at $2.55 at the moment, and we've got another line of 3.
Close games.
Interesting that AFC South, because the Titans were pretty dismal, and the Colts not looking great. They're maybe on track for an 0-2 start here, so maybe the AFC South kind of getting a little bit of NFC East vibes about that division.
Next football match we had was the Raiders taking on the Steelers. Both those teams won in upsets. The big talk for the Raiders was the unbelievable game of Darren Waller, the baller in this. Didn't matter what coverage he was in, Derek Carr just threw it up and he managed to come down with it more often than not. I think, having to win that game twice on Monday night and then also having the pick come off a helmet was such a wild ending to a football match. But in this one, I just think the Steelers and that defense are too good for what the Raiders put together. I'm picked Steelers.
I like the pick. I just want to go quickly back to that Monday Night Football game because that was one of the craziest games in recent memory. It looked like the Ravens had done it all with a big Lamar Jackson. I think he ran for 29 yards on a 3rd down and long to get them into field goal range. And the Raiders managed to get a field goal to take it through to overtime. And then it was just a comedy of errors in terms of turnovers and drop balls and just utter ridiculousness, really. There was who was it that nearly scored and he got tackled, a foot out.
Was it Brown?
For the Raiders? Yeah.
Was it Brown Hollywood? It wasn't Watkins or Snead. I'm pretty sure it was Brown. It had to be Brown.
Yeah, possibly. And then there was essentially everyone on the field shaking hands and shit. And they're like, no. We got to go back and
coach is running back to the locker room.
yeah, that's right. Go back. And then the Raiders turned it over from 1 yard.
It's Raiders. It was Braylon Edwards. That's who was downed.
That's who it was, Braylon Edwards.
Yeah.
And they had to try and punch it in from the 1 yard line, and they turned it over. And you thought, fuck me, this is a game that just keeps on giving. And then the Raiders finally got home. And again, like the SoFi Stadium, that Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas, on the Las Vegas Strip, their first game with crowds, that looks fucking sick. Boys, when we're allowed to travel in the year 2050 or whenever it may be, I think I've got the first weekend planned. We fly into LA. SoFi Stadium is about 15 minutes, give or take. LA traffic's 2 hours, perhaps. From the airport, we go in there. We catch a game at SoFi. There's a casino across the road from that, and then hopefully we can line it up to be at Allegiant Stadium, which is on the Las Vegas Strip. The next day or that weekend. I've got it all planned out. We will be about 70.
Yeah, I was going to say, Pep. So I was just like, I'm 100% with you. Do the quick math. How old will we be? We will be 70. These old codgers will be rocking up there to watch some football. Probably
I'm going to drop it out there.
By then.
No, 70 will be in the new 40. Don't worry. We'll be all jacked up on stem cells and shit that's not legal right now. Monkey's going to have a full beard. Like, he's going to check this out, boys. I've been working on this for fucking 50 years. It's going to be good. I'm going to have, my back's going to be about 90 degrees because I'll be tall and frail. I can't.
Little bit of incentive here. We've got a Bucs party for me. I've got a plan next year, so.
Oh, open them borders.
Let's get back to this. You said all this stuff about the Raiders, Peps. Did you pick them?
No. No. I think the Steelers at home. Hey, and let's go back to what I was talking about before in that Steelers-Bills game. I was saying that a lot of people are sleeping on the Steelers. That they're a good team. They've got one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. It's a tough ask, I think, for the Raiders to go to Heinz Field and win this. I've tipped the Steelers, but the Raiders won't be bad, I don't think. Monks, the odds and the tip, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So I'm doubling down this week on this tip. Both tips and fantasy. I've gone the Raiders for the win. I've dropped the Steelers as my defense for fantasy, so I'll be coming back here next week completely regretting that. Steelers are favourites, $1.35.
What's he thinking, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I did pick up the Patriots D against the New York Jets, so
streamer boy over here.
Stream the defense.
Two defenses and then wants to stream.
I'm not talking about a fantasy tip. I'm talking more about the tip in this game. Why do you think the Raiders can go to Pittsburgh and get a win here?
I honestly don't know. I don't know why I've done it.
Which is exactly what
I think it is my
skills, and you got it. So maybe there's a bit of method to the madness here.
I think maybe. Look. Yeah, the Steelers. I mean, yeah, they did play well last week. They did beat the Bills. I probably wouldn't rate the Bills all that highly anyway. Raiders seemed electric, like we were talking about. I don't know. I just thought it was an okay smoky for the week. I could be regretting this severely, though, next week. We'll have to wait and see.
One smoky work last week. I suggest all listeners put your house, wife, kids on the Raiders to win.
Yeah. What were the odds?
Glad you said it and I didn't. So Steelers are favourites, $1.35. Raiders are out at $3.23. The line is 6. Total match points is 46.
I still like the Steelers. Anyways, moving forward.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of games to sort of run through. So the next one, we got Bengals Bears. Bengals coming off OT win against the Vikings. Vikings look a little bit dismal, I thought. Joe Mixon, with no competition in the backfield, had an absolute field day. The Bears on the flip side went down to the Rams, as talked about there. They did run the ball fairly well. Also, this is in Chicago. Not sure. I think I actually picked Bengals in this. I think I went a bit of an upset for me.
Are the Bears favourites? I would have thought this might be pretty close. I'll go the Bears here. I don't think they were that bad. They were just behind the whole game against the Rams, which hurt. They were able to move the rock with David Montgomery. The Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, wasn't too bad. Look for Justin Fields to just get more and more involved in Chicago's offense.
He scored twice.
I think. Say again.
Did he score twice? You got one.
One. He had one rushing touchdown, a few completed passes. And they were just kind of, bringing him in as a red zone or third down kind of threat. I think this would just be a slow passing of the torch over to Justin Fields, and I think it will be his team, say week 4, week 5. But in terms of this one, I've gone the Bears.
Monks, split the difference. Who are you picking on odds?
Yeah, I've gone Bears as well. They are favourites, probably one of the closest ones of the week, though. They are sitting at $1.75 at the moment. Bengals are out at $2.11, and we've got a line of 2.
Yeah, bit of a coin flip in that one for mine. Moving forward to one which should be pretty clear cut, you'd think, in the Texans and the Browns. Look, a lot of people are shitting on the Texans, saying they're the worst team in football leading into the season. They looked really good. Tyrod was excellent. Mark Ingram got a lot of ball for them. I don't know if it's the Texans being good or the Jags being bad. Maybe a little bit of both. And the Browns, I tell you what, they nearly went to Kansas. They nearly went to Arrowhead and knocked off the Chiefs. They're the real deal. They're the real deal. The AFC North is fucking stacked. I think at home, in the dog pound, the Browns get the job done here. The one thing I wanted to mention from this one was no OBJ.
I just checked. He's ruled out for this game as well.
Do you know what the injury concern is?
I can double check for you again.
Because it seemed very late, and I'm just not sure what's going on with OBJ. Jarvis Landry was good, scored a really tough touchdown on a end around against the Chiefs, in which he broke a few tackles to get in. Baker looked pretty good. Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, they're forming one of the better tandems in the NFL in terms of a defensive pass rush. Have you got any news there on OBJ, Sean?
Still says he's recovering from that left knee injury, which I think plagued him last year. So obviously he maybe through camp and running in the preseason, it swelled up a bit and they're just managing it and trying to get him right. A game against the Texans, you probably don't need him. And I think Browns by a lot.
Yeah, fair. I've gone Browns. Line might be a bit more interesting than the head-to-head here, but who knows? Everyone's been sleeping on the Texans, and they went out and they're 1-0. So who knows?
Max?
I've gone Browns as well. They are favourites. One of the heavy favourites for the week at $1.14. The Texans are out at $5.75, and that line is 12.
See, that is very, very short for mine. I do think the Browns win that, but I won't be touching that line for mine. Let's head over to the NFC South. We've got 2 teams coming off wins, the Saints and the Panthers. The Saints were really, really good. They were actually outsiders against my pack. Jameis Winston, we were having a laugh about him last week, 30-30, etc., etc. Yeah, how about this one? 20 passes, 5 touchdowns. That's a pretty good bloody effort.
I think it was 14 completions as well. So
14 completions, yeah. So 1 in 3 completions were a touchdown for Jameis. Their running game, they ran the fuck over the Packers. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, but this Tony Jones coming along as well with a few handy runs. And we spoke about it last week in our preview. I mentioned their defense being sneaky good. I need to refine that. Their defense is good.
Right.
The Pack, we'll get to them in a second. They were horrendous. The Panthers, and Sean, you shouted him a beer. Christian McCaffrey, he's back, baby. The number 1 pick off most people's fantasy boards. And guess what? He was the number one fantasy running back this week. He catches the ball heaps out of the backfield. He got in for actually no, he didn't score a touchdown. Actually, I don't think so. He went off without even finding the end zone. I think he had about 9 catches and a bunch of yards. Yeah. So he is back, baby. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't score. I think I lost a multi perhaps on that. What are we thinking here, boys? I imagine the bookies have got the Saints pretty handily favoured after what they did to the Packers. I've gone the Saints.
Yeah. Saints as well. I think it's going to be a good game of footy, though.
It could be. Let's not look. We've only got one game of football to go off, right?
Yeah.
The Saints destroyed the defending NFC. Not the NFC champs, a team that made the NFC Championship game. Okay, the Saints destroyed them. The Panthers just got over the New York Jets. So let's consider that. I've gone Saints, and I think the Saints win there in Charlotte.
Marks, tips and odds?
Yep. Yes, just back on McCaffrey. So he didn't score a touchdown, but he led both rushing and receiving yards for the Panthers. So Saints are favourites. Not too heavy, fairly similar odds to some of the other matches we've previewed already. So they're favourites at $1.51. Panthers are out at $2.58, and we've got a line of 3.
I haven't liked too many of these odds so far. I did tip the Packers to beat the Saints last week, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But yeah, I don't mind the Saints at that value there. And that's all the early games there on Sunday. Let's whip through the late games on Sunday. The Vikes take on the Cardinals. The Vikes went down to the Bengals in overtime. The Cardinals, they smoked the Tennessee Titans. Chandler Jones, he had 5 sacks, if you don't mind. And Kyler looked really, really good. We had spoken about it last week about that NFC West being very strong this year, and the Cardinals look like the real deal. I've tipped the Cardinals here at home. I think they win this quite comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. Cards by a lot for me. Max?
Yep. I've gone Cards as well. They are favourites at $1.51. Vikings are out at $2.58 at the moment, and we've got a line of 3.
That sounds tasty to me.
Yeah. The next matchup, Falcons are taking on the Buccaneers. Bucs, big favourites, of course, here after their win over the weekend. Return of AB and Gronk for the Buccaneers. They were very dominant, and Tom Brady. I think we covered that in the last potty as well, how excellent they were in that game. I did, and Marks has just added the note here, Tom Brady put a vid out on, I think, his socials after winning in the background. It had the 3:28 is the time on one of the clocks to kind of refer back to their
screensaver in the background.
He's a competitor. We all know that. Falcons against the Eagles. I don't think there's much to talk about in this. Bucs by a lot.
Yeah, Bucs. The only thing I'm interested in is the line.
Yeah, Bucs.
Yeah, obviously Bucs as well. They are favourites $1.13. Falcons are out at $6.05 at the moment. We have a line of 12.
Oh, I like that.
Yep.
The Eagles just destroyed them, and this is in Tampa. By the cannon.
Total match points of 51 as well. This is sort of in line with that.
Yeah, I don't think Falcons can score enough points to get to that, though.
No, I agree. But Bucs with that line, I love that.
Yep.
The Bucs secondary. Sorry, just back on that. The Bucs secondary did look a little bit susceptible against the Cowboys. So whether that plays into it against the Falcons, obviously Matty Ice. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I don't think
Cowboys receivers probably a different beast than trying just to cover Ridley and Pitts.
That is true.
Yeah, and I think Bucs secondary all of last year was susceptible, but they played pretty well when they needed to. So it was only the start of the season. We'll see how they go.
They did lose Sean Murphy Bunting, didn't he? He had a compound fracture of his humerus, was quite nasty to see. But I agree with what you've said there, Sean. I think the Cowboys' offense is the real deal, and I've got a little side bet with Nate. I think the Cowboys win the NFC East, just quietly. But yeah, that Falcons defense is horrendous. I think the Bucs do this easily. One that may be a bit more interesting is the Titans at the Seahawks. The Titans were very disappointing last week against the Cards. They couldn't get the running game going with King Henry. Their defense was leaky. And the Seahawks had a really nice win against Indianapolis. Russ was cooking. Tyler Lockett went off. DK looked good. This game's in Seattle. I think the Titans start the season 0-2. I imagine the bookies have got the Seahawks as favourites. I think Seattle wins this one.
And I agree with you. Yeah, I think Seattle, they're a better team. Well, I think they're both pretty good teams, but Titans usually they always play better towards the end of the season. They start off a bit slow, whereas the Seahawks and Danger Russ, they usually start really hot. So, yeah, I'm going to go Seahawks here.
Yeah, I've gone Seahawks as well. Exactly the same sort of sentiment, as well as obviously at home with 12th man. You can't get past them. They are favourites at $1.33. The Titans are out at $3.35, and there is a line of 6.
Very short there, the Seahawks. Very short. I don't know about them at those odds, but yeah, they should be favourites in that game. We were talking just about the Cowboys. They faced the Los Angeles Chargers. They were valiant in that Thursday night football game on opening night. Amari Cooper, we had him on the Instagram, a little meme courtesy of my mate Ashley Watts. Shout out to you if you're listening. Obviously, Amari's been listening to the Esky and hearing me trash talk him, say he's not a top 10 receiver. He went out and had an absolute night. I think he had 13 for 130 odd and 2 touchdowns in that game there. The Chargers had a bit of a defensive battle against the Washington football team and came out with the win. This one, I think, will be close as well. A very interesting matchup. I'm putting my eggs in the Cowboys basket this year. I'm on them. I think, as I just said, I think they win the NFC East. I think their offense with Dak back, fully functional, with CD Lamb looking unreal, and Amari Cooper obviously being a pretty good receiver. And they didn't even get the running game going last week. I've gone the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I've gone Cowboys as well. And you make an interesting point there. And I think actually a lot of games have shown that the running game has kind of changed. It's very pass-oriented to start the year. With you now can go like 3 deep on your wide receivers. Like number 3 wide receivers are scoring bulk points for your fantasy teams. So I think it's kind of shown that, hey, that 3 wide receiver set and then the running back who can take a carry or potentially catch the ball is actually heavily favored now. And for every game I've watched so far, that's kind of teams that are winning. That's the mode they're kind of taking. And that fits very well for what the Cowboys want to do with 2 first-round picks at wide receiver and a second-rounder as well. They've got a really good trio of wide receivers there. I think they score a lot of points, and I think Cowboys. I don't mind what the Chargers do, but I just don't think the Chargers are there yet. Team's still looking to add a few pieces to rebuild.
You did mention the trio there for the Cowboys. I think Michael Gallup has sustained an injury. I think he'll be out for a little bit. So it might be Cedric Wilson coming in to be the third man up there for the Cowboys. Look, we're going to see SoFi Stadium again, and with the Chargers playing, we might see it being a quarter filled. So that might be reminiscent of the COVID era. Monks, your tip and the odds, please.
Yep. So I have also gone the Cowboys. They're actually underdogs here. $2.58. Chargers are $1.51, and we've got a line of 3. What do you boys think of that?
Get on the Cowboys.
That's juicy for mine, but also the Cowboys. We talk about the Giants losing in a typical Giants way. The Cowboys love to disappoint as well. So we'll,
Sure.
we'll see. But with a healthy Dak and that offense, we spoke about the receivers, we spoke about Zeke. The thing we haven't even mentioned is the offensive line being one of the best in football. Against a pretty reasonable Chargers defense. It'll be an interesting battle, but I'm surprised that they are that long at $2.50 something. Maybe if you wanted to give them a head start, that might be a way to punt.
Yeah, it did actually remind me that Collins, their right tackle, did get suspended for a couple of games for performance-enhancing substance, I believe. So he's actually going to be out and off their line. Terrence Steele comes in as the replacement for them. But they still have an excellent offensive line. Like, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Well, I think
they can score points. They can score 50 in this. I don't think Chargers D, though good and they got talent there, will be able to hold them to enough to keep the Chargers potentially in range of scoring points in this.
I just want to real quickly touch on Dallas's defense as well. Obviously, last year they're pretty susceptible to scoring. What do you reckon this season? Do you reckon they've turned the corner? I know Micah Parsons had 7 tackles, a couple of solos, pretty good outing for his first regular season game.
He will be a stud. DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't bad. I think
Lawrence broke his hand or his foot
as well. Yeah, Trayvon Diggs. I think he's coming along. He's a second rounder out of Alabama. He had a pick last week. I think they're a bit better than what they were last year, and they were horrendous. So not hard to be better than they were. Marks, have you got the overs? Are they under overs in this game? I imagine the Cowboys been able to score some points, and then the Chargers against that susceptible Dallas D. I'd be interested in that.
So just go back to Marcus Lawrence broke his foot in practice week, so he's out 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, that's a big out. That is a big out.
To answer your question, James, I think they've got pieces, but they're just not there yet. And you saw that kind of against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like they're better than they were last year, but they're not there in the top 10 of defenses.
They're going up against one of the most stacked offenses that's ever been assembled, and didn't get embarrassed at all. So I thought it was a pretty good defensive effort.
Yeah. That unders over is 54.
Oh, see, the bookies know. That is a high total game points. So I don't know if I'd be touching that. I was keen for anything under 50, but that may be a little bit too much for my likings. Anyways, boys, let's move into Sunday Night Football, the game of the round. Can we agree
definitely.
on the Chiefs at the Ravens? A big matchup here. That it was sort of we spoke ad nauseum before about the Ravens and the Raiders game. The Chiefs kind of did the opposite. They pulled one out of their ass. The Browns led for a lot of that game, and Mahomes was doing Mahomes things. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were looking very good. Water was wet. The Ravens, they would have looked at that round 1 game against Las Vegas and probably had in their minds that was going to be a W. It's a massive ask for them here on Sunday Night Football. I've gone the Chiefs. They had a great game last year, these two teams going at it. Chiefs for mine.
I went the upset and I picked the Ravens. No real reason, but I just think this is going to be a high-scoring, close game of footy, I reckon. But I just wanted to see the Ravens win. Probably, divisional bias here from me. But yeah, I'll go.
Well, every team in the AFC West, every team in the West actually winning, yes, which is pretty crazy. 8 teams, with the NFL resembling the NBA of late, with the West being quite dominant. Marks, the Ravens would be outsiders here, you would have thought.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it would probably be off the back of the injuries to the running back core. I suppose they've probably got a couple of weeks to settle that one down and find some rhythm with that. So I've gone Chiefs as well. They are favourites $1.49. The Ravens are $2.64 at the moment. Still going to be a close one. The line is 3.5. Total match points, expecting a few touchdowns at 54.
Big total match points. That's interesting. That line only being 3 with the Chiefs at $1.40 something. So that might be something I might consider. Let's move through to Monday Night Football. The Packers take on the Lions. The Lions, we spoke about their unbelievable comeback against the 49ers. It just wasn't quite enough. And my Packers and my fantasy teams, because I invested heavily in them in both my fantasy leagues, double Aaron's. One word, disgusting. To be honest, Rodgers in the post game presser, he was saying, "Look, it's just one game." I think if you look back in the scores last year, I think the Saints destroyed the Buccaneers in a regular season game last year. So maybe take of it what you will. A lot of the blame getting put on Rodgers. He was putrid. He looked like a man that had not played a pre-season. I think I sent you boys a text this week saying that Marcus Mariota had more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers did. That coming off one run.
Well, I think the joke was of Aaron Rodgers was the 35th quarterback QB scoring, considering there was 32 starters. It was 3 off that. 4, 3 of them. Yes, 3 of them.
Quick maths, yeah. And
yeah.
Aaron Jones did absolutely nothing as well. Look, we spoke about it before. Credit to the New Orleans Saints. Their defense was excellent, and they were able to run the football. When you win a game and you only throw 20 passes, as convincingly as they did, you're obviously doing the old school things right in football in being able to run the ball and play good defense. Look, it's the Detroit Lions. They're at home. I think that they bounce back big time here. They were embarrassed last week, and I think the Packers come out and beat the Detroit Lions here. I don't know if I've got a little bit of personal bias there. I imagine the bookies tend to agree with me. But that they'll want to make a statement. They were embarrassed last week, and that they'll want to put away their divisional rivals here in round 2 in prime time.
Yeah, I'll give you some confirmation or bias. I've picked the Packers as well. What did the bookie say, Max?
Yeah, so I've probably put the curse on the Packers. I guess you can't put the curse on the Packers in this game. They are favourites at $1.14.
Curse on is to say you can't curse them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. The favourites $1.14. Lions are out at $5.75. The line is 11. And I do have to hate to twist a knife while it's stuck in you there, Peps, but Marcus Mariota also injured himself on that run, so you could say that an injured Marcus Mariota outscored Aaron Rodgers last week.
For my fantasy teams, I'm hoping Rodgers has a big bounce back, and the Packers get a job done here. If they lose to the Detroit Lions, then I think we need a serious they are as a football team. Let's hope it's a one-off abnormality.
And with that, that'll finish off NFL for this week.